This one, it's Staghound 1. It's armored car M6, adopted by the American Army, but actually not used by American Army. This one used by British Army, almost all transferred to British. They also made Staghound 2 with Howitzer and Staghound 3, most heavy armored car of World War II with Crusader turret.
Okay. So this was basically a tank, you say?
It's really, actually, it's really tank. It was designed for battle in desert because he got more range than tank. Will it drive faster than tracked drive? Armor same than Stuart tank.
Okay.
Also, you can see additional fuel tank for desert using. But actually, he was too late for Africa.
Too late for deployment there?
Yes.
Yep.
First time he was used in Italy. Next, they used it already in Western Front, in Normandy. Lots of Staghound used after war. As I know, maybe early 80s.
80s. Okay.
Yes.
Which is quite late by
But it's
that time.
normal tank for police. It's really good.
I could easily see one of these in the.
As you can see, turret almost same than M3 medium tank, almost same design, but biggest turret. Possible to mount more heavy turret. As I remember in Africa, some after war used turret from AEC armored car.
Interesting.
Yes.
So, because I came around the corner with Yuri and I saw this vehicle and I never had seen it before. The first thing that caught my attention was the turret, and then as we walked by, I started noticing these armor plates, and I just, it's first time.
It's
the
really,
first time.
really high.
It's really tall. It's amazing, and it's wheeled as well. I assume they chose it to be wheeled given the conditions where they were thinking about applying it.
So this one, I don't know about maybe it's running condition, but I know lots of Staghounds still in running condition. It's simple to restore it because it's General Motors vehicle with some.
So easy to maintain. Okay. Yeah, I was saying earlier I could easily see the Portuguese Air Force using one of these in mainland because they have this stuff like this. Yeah. The Staghound was originally the Chevrolet proposal towards the US Army Ordnance request for medium and heavy armored cars in July 1941. The Chevrolet version was called the T17E1 and was put forward along with another design by Ford Motor, which was a six-wheeled vehicle which got the designation of T17. Both designs put forward to the British Port Charging Commission, which was also looking for medium and heavy armored cars at the same time to operate as reconnaissance in the North African theatre, and they got their respective names, the T17E1 Staghound and the T17 Deerhound. The Ford T17 Deerhound was powered by two six-cylinder engines of 90 horsepower, which was later upgraded to two Hercules GXD 110 horsepower engines. These were positioned in the rear of the vehicle, which gave the T17 Deerhound 8 speeds forward and 2 in reverse, and, just like the T17E1 Staghound, each of his wheels was powered individually. The turret was common between the two variants as well, which was produced at Rock Island Arsenal and was built to British specifications, which required a two-man turret and easy access to a radio for the commander. The pilot version of the T17 Deerhound arrived at Aberdeen Proving Ground in March 1942, and the second pilot version was sent to Fort Knox to be displayed to the Armoured Force Board. The second pilot was slightly different to the first, as it was fitted with a three-man turret. After testing, the design was found to be flawed, with attention applied particularly to the axles and transmissions, which suffered catastrophic failures, which led to a halt in the testing. Due to requirement for extensive modifications such as different transmission and alteration of the gear ratio, it was deemed that it would have performed poorly as a reconnaissance vehicle, as is the sole role of an armored car according to the board. And the board cancelled the order in December 1942. Only 250 were built and most were relegated to patrolling the continental United States, attached to the United States Army Military Police Corps after they had a 37mm gun removed. However, around 20 vehicles were sent to Brazil in 1942, where they too served with the military police. One of them resides today in a South Military Command Museum in Porto Alegre.
The Allied army now smashed Germany's Gothic line, but first they had to force the defences south of it. Right in the centre of those defences lay Florence, declared an open city by the Nazis. These pictures were taken during the advance on the medieval capital of Tuscany.
The T17E1 Staghound was destined for a different fate. Compared to the Deerhound, it was powered by 297 bhp 6-cylinder GMS Model 270 engines, also mounted in the rear and used a hydromatic transmission. The United States placed an order for 2,000 units in January 1942, and the British placed their order in March of the same year after it was delivered to Aberdeen. The T17E1 Staghound performed better than the T17 Deerhound, and the US order was expanded by 1,500 units. However, the US Army was keen to cut production in favor of track designs like the M5 or the M8 Greyhound. The production of the Staghound commenced in October 1942. It was initially to be reduced to production run of 250 vehicles like the T17 Deerhound in December 1942. However, the British Army staff in Washington intervened to save it and requested that its original production run of 3,500 units be assigned to the British instead. It was unfortunately delivered too late to serve in North Africa, but it was used by British and Commonwealth forces during the Italian campaign of late 1943. Initially, it received a cold reception due to its size, which restricted its use on the narrow roads and town streets of Europe, which led to many preferring the British-produced Daimler armoured car instead. However, when it first saw combat in Italy, the crews learned to appreciate the Staghound as it was to be a very nimble vehicle, and with its top speed of 89 km per hour, it allowed the vehicle to get out of trouble rather quickly. The Staghound went on to serve the British and Commonwealth forces through northwest Europe in 1944 and 45. They were produced between October 1942 until April 1944, and over 3,800 were built. The Staghound continued to serve with the British Army for a couple of years until they started to be sold off to other countries or handed over after garrison forces left. The Staghound had 5 main variants that served with the British forces during the war. These were the Staghound Mark I, Staghound Mark II, Staghound Mark III, Staghound Command, and T17E2, also known as the Staghound AA. I hope you fine ladies and fellas enjoy this wee tidbit of Staghound history, and I also want to thank Yuri Pashalog for his time. Now, this is not a sponsored message. As far as he knows, he's not aware what I'm about to say, but Yuri Pashalog, who has done a lot of historical consulting work for the multi-million-dollar company Wargaming.net, he has went on to become a book author as well, and slightly 2 years ago he went solo and he started publishing books in English. I will leave the links in the description down below if you want to check it out. In my opinion, Yuri Pashalog is one of the most knowledgeable people in the field in the world, and his books are definitely Rita approved. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.